When most creators blow up, their videos start to feel a lot less authentic. So how did Trahan grow 20 million subscribers while still making his videos feel homemade? Well, I looked through years of his history and 3 main things ended up standing out from the rest. So let's jump right into the first one, being the fact that he mastered the foundations. The thing is, although I study viral content strategies for a living, Ryan stands out as a prime example of truly understanding the basics of what sparks audience connection. And to explain this, we need to go back a bit into what makes a good story, because every good story has a story arc, which is basically the overarching structure of how a story progresses. This means that whether you're reading a book, watching a movie, or viewing a YouTube video, even though all of these are different experiences, you can usually extract the same story arcs from all of them. This means that a story arc doesn't just follow one style, and you can tell a good story in any way you'd like. And this is very important because the problem that most aspiring creators fail to understand is that they think that if they want to make a video that gets millions of views, they have to try and make their video a certain way. This usually leads many of them to try and copy Mr. Beast's intense style where everything needs to be high energy. But this almost never ends up working for most creators because it comes off as inauthentic. Not only that, but many times it also doesn't relate to the audience they are trying to reach. For example, if you want to have more of an adult audience, you probably shouldn't be shouting and acting hyper all the time. But these things aren't the case with Ryan because since he has a good understanding of the foundations of storytelling, he crafts videos in a way he knows the audience will be engaged in. This not only means that he doesn't need to rely on fancy editing or a hyperactive personality to quote-unquote enhance his video, but this is also where he gets his big edge because since he knows how to execute the foundations in a clear way, it leaves room for him to be able to actually show his personality in his videos without it feeling like he's making it less entertaining, which instantly makes him seem more likable and authentic. But although I say all of this like it's obvious, actually mastering the storytelling foundations is really hard, which is why many fail to be in Ryan's position. Because to truly get a good grasp of storytelling, you need to understand things like segmentation, tension, anticipation, story arcs and acts, payoffs, and a lot more. And since the YouTube space is still relatively new, these things are usually learned by rigorously studying content strategy or sometimes are just intuitively known. And Ryan's channel has been on YouTube for over a decade now, so I'm sure he's learned how to craft a good story along the way. However, although his storytelling did help him blow up, what really sells the fact that he comes across as authentic is actually the fact that everything he does fits the brand. And to explain what this really means, we first need to analyze a couple of Ryan's videos. Because if you really pay attention, you'll notice things like how he uses the basic Helvetica looking font for his text, makes very pixelated zoom-ins, films in awkward angles, and even sometimes just uses an iPhone and a tiny microphone to record. And here's where the big mistake comes with that because for most creators, if they ever reach something around 20 million subscribers, like how Ryan has, they would likely think that they need to quote-unquote level up their content. And by this, I mean that they'll probably start investing in better camera equipment, microphones, editors, and just try to add more to the production overall. And although this would make the videos look nicer, what most creators miss is that it would also create a bigger disconnect between the viewer and the creator, because when something seems more high production, it starts to feel like we aren't really getting to know the person recording anymore, and it begins to seem a bit fake. However, in Ryan's case, he isn't like most creators and is easily able to stand out from the rest of the big YouTubers because his filming and editing style is purposefully toned down so he can come across as more authentic.
Like, I think about even how fonts communicate to people. Like, I changed my font from being somewhat more corporate to something that's like so normal, that's just on everyone's computer, and it just feels more like me. And I found that realistic thumbnails just feel like me. It feels like, yeah, if my face is not like, then I feel more connected to the thumbnail. If I'm just making a very subtle face that's like, because it's realistic and I'm like, oh, that's legit.
But you need to be careful here, as trying to copy Ryan may lead some creators to think that if they want to seem more authentic, all they need to do is just use a more basic production style. And although that helps, it really is a bit more than that because it's actually Ryan Trahan's filming style plus his personality that really solidifies his brand. And now this is really important because I've seen many people try to copy Ryan's style, but the only reason they fall short is because their personality doesn't come across as genuine as Ryan's does. For example, the fact that he's awkward in public, includes bad cuts or silly jokes in his videos, and says whatever comes to mind, that is him being his genuine self. He's not trying to act, and viewers are able to pick up on that, which instantly makes it seem like they're watching a friend and not a YouTuber, which effortlessly makes his videos seem more relatable. So even though on paper it might sound like a terrible plan to film with an iPhone and include random quirky jokes in his video, the fact that no one else does it is the exact reason he stands out, which is all part of his very strategic branding. However, although he uses his personality and editing to add a relatable feel to a video, there is an issue here that most creators who show their personality eventually end up hitting, which over time causes their channel to slowly start dying. But we know that Ryan has managed to stay relevant throughout the years. So why is that? Well, that's actually due to the fact that he understands this one thing, which is balancing virality and originality. So to explain, the thing is, the problem that many creators who try to include some sort of original personality into their videos is that they end up overdoing it, meaning the video often becomes too focused on the creator and they end up focusing less on the video's actual objective. So for example, if it's a challenge video, they may start to get distracted and focus less on actually completing the challenge. But Ryan knows exactly how to strike the balance between when to let his personality show while also delivering the video the audience expects. And now here, some people may argue that Ryan could make videos fully focused on his personal life and story, and many viewers would still end up watching because of his personality alone. And although I agree with that statement to a certain extent, it's when he combines a proven viral video format plus his fresh personality, that is when you end up getting videos which consistently do 40 million views. A good way to think about his approach is that he's perfectly striking the balance between being a daily vlog YouTuber and being a Mr. Beast style YouTuber. If you know how to ride that middle line well, you end up capturing both types of audiences, which helps increase your wide appeal. So when you really look into it, Ryan's huge growth while staying authentic came down to these three main things. I hope you learned something new, and if you want to see how I break down other creators' strategies to blow up, make sure to subscribe. But for now, thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Mwah!